Welcome to the Marie Manuchehri Podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Where Energy Meets the Divine. I know you've all been working on self-love, and I can't thank you enough for diving into this really weird, it's really not weird, it's normal, but it's weird in human culture. It doesn't matter what one's religion is or where one lives on this beautiful planet Earth. Self-love is not something we're taught. In fact, it's not encouraged. It's not encouraged in our educational system. It's not encouraged in our religious systems, in our families. Maybe when you're really, really little, everyone just adores you and stares at you. I know my oldest granddaughter's in kindergarten, which is an all-day event now, where my kids, when they were in kindergarten, they went half day. And so we miss her. We can't see her between certain hours, Monday through Friday, most weeks. And when I do see her, I saw her recently, we're all just sitting around the kitchen, counter, staring at her gorgeous, adorable face and asking her, so how do you like school? And hanging on her every comment, which thankfully is very positive, and she beams, and, you can tell that she's enjoying herself in kindergarten. So that's great. So that's kind of where the initiation of it's okay to love yourself. It's okay to cherish yourself. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be successful kind of happened when we were quite young, but as we socialize into society, it's broken away from us. So I know through all of the podcast conversations that all of you have been working on self-love. What does it mean? What does it look like? Do I have any? Can I get some more? Can I maintain it? Even when people tell me I'm not a good person or I make a mistake, can I still have the grace of loving myself? And since you've been working on this, and I'm very proud of you and grateful, because as you add new levels of self-worth into your own relationship with yourself, you are helping the rest of humanity. Everything is about frequency and vibration, and there is a vibration about self-love. And when people love themselves, that vibration exudes out into the earth and out into the people around you, the communities where you work, your families. And even if you never talk about it with another person, that energy is very alive and it starts to affect others positively. It might get someone else asking the question like, what is self-love? And how come I don't have that much of that? And how do I get it? So your actions, whether you feel they're small, medium, or large, are excellent for you and excellent for the rest of our beautiful soul brothers and sisters, and however we may identify ourselves, beings who are living here on earth. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I'm just going to give you some tips, if you will, about if you are, improving on the self-worth, self-love bandwagon that we're all playing with these days. Certain things are going to happen in your life. There'll be some changes that you can go, oh, I am participating effectively in loving myself, even though I wasn't taught this at home. No one taught this to me at school. And certainly the work world is not encouraging me to love myself. And any religious, persuasion that you've studied over time also has not taught that to you. So here's one of the things that will happen as you start to fall in love with yourself. You will start to attract meaningful work or know what your work could be. And this is just one of the positive symptoms that come from loving yourself, or hobbies. So meaningful, fulfilling, joyful, productive. You'll start being attracted to work or hobbies that have those beautiful feelings. Or if you have wonderful work and hobbies, they will only improve. It's like the stew gets better tasting, right? When it sits in the fridge for a couple of days. Spaghetti sauce is the same way. Even pizza tastes good the next day. So you're going to start to notice a richness in your life if you already have a career that you love or you have hobbies in your life that are fulfilling. When you look in the mirror, you're going to feel more confident. You're going to go, wow, you're really handsome. Wow, I didn't notice how great those fine lines look right above your nose. Wow. Yeah, you're going to have that kind of unconditional, spontaneous reaction when you look in the mirror. You will have ease and joy around wealth. And I use the word wealth versus money, but you will start to be more relaxed. You won't be hard on yourself if you haven't balanced your checkbook. I don't know that many people who do that anymore, but if you haven't, you won't be going, or I forgot to do this. You will ease. You'll be more relaxed. You'll be more confident. And that means you're going to create a greater flow of wealth into your life as well. So that's another positive indicator that naturally happens as you fall in love with yourself. Your body, you're going to sense your body's communication with you. It will start to communicate more directly because there's like a synergy, a vibrational synergy between your receptivity of your human perception, your hearing, seeing, and feeling, and your body's vibrational, intuitive perspective. So you're going to start to have an awareness, like your body's going to say, oh, I would love to have more of this, or I don't want to eat any more of that, or, oh, I'd love to go do this. Can we go swimming once a week? Or let's go ride a bike again. And when you get these impressions from your body, please go do them. Please go that extra bike ride, go for a swim, take more vitamin C, or whatever it is that you're sensing as a communication from your physical form. Because every person's body talks to them all day long. Believe me, I can hear everybody's body talking to them all day long. It's funny when there's times I'm walking like in a downtown area in a suburban little town, and people are walking past me, I can hear their bodies talking to them. And they're like, no more hamburgers. Why did you have 3 beers last night? But in a very nice way. It's not like mean. It's like, can we have less of this? No more sugar. You have so much sugar your whole life. No more sugar. I don't stop people and tell them that this is what their body is saying, but the body talks to us all day long. And when you love yourself more, you begin to hear, see, and feel this communication, which is what keeps us healthy, helps us become aware of changes that we need to make. It's very powerful. When you begin to love yourself, you automatically feel happier, even when weird stuff is happening, or even if you're reading the news and it's typically not positive ever, and you're going to have that moment of despair or disappointment or annoyance, and then you're going to be able to bounce out of it like really fast. I mean, truly don't spend a lot of time reading the news or listening to it. It's not healthy. It's not good for us. But you'll quickly bounce out of it. You're like, oh, forgot about it already. Oh my goodness. What happened? Forgot about it already. As you fall in love with yourself more, and perhaps you've already noticed this other beautiful positive effect, you will not tolerate dishonesty or abusive interactions or relationships with others. It just won't be fun for you. And it's not like you're going to think that that person is terrible. Your softness towards yourself is even going to be softness towards someone who's reacting in a pattern or doesn't understand the difference between honesty and dishonesty. Younger souls don't always have those perceptions. It takes a while to grow one's soul and have all kinds of interesting experiences in order to understand what honesty really means. But you won't tolerate it. You're not going to be mean to that person or people or organization or work environment. You're just not going to be interested. You won't be going out for lunch with people from your job if you notice there's a fair amount of dishonesty within the workplace after work. You won't. And then you'll just keep pulling yourself away from that kind of energy. You just won't vibe with it. The differences between your energy will be clear, and you're going to want to keep adding to this positive, light, fulfilling energy rather than having to argue with someone who, doesn't really, it's not in your best interest to argue with them. It's not in your best interest. You will easily notice when you need to make a change for the better, and you're going to be patient with yourself about it. You'll go, yeah, I really need to do this. You need to stop doing this thing over here. Like maybe you watch too much television and you're like, I really need to stop watching TV. You'll be patient with yourself as you begin to distance yourself from a pattern. Maybe it's smoking. Maybe it's not going to bed at a good time. Maybe it's eating too many potato chips. Whatever those things might be, you're going to give yourself the space to change and begin to have different experiences, but you're going to be kind and patient to yourself. You're going to be wondering more about who you truly are. And I can feel that with all of you. I can feel that. You're all so excited. And where you are expanding. What's next? Yay, what's next? What's next? When you feel self-love, you realize that positivity is what truly helps oneself and the earth change for the better. You're going to be clear that this path of self-nurturing, self-compassion is what helps everything. It will decrease climate change, because when people care about themselves and they begin to choose career paths or hobbies or research that's really fulfilling for them, those are the people who are going to discover how we can find great ways in our modern technical world to decrease climate change or create cures for diseases on Earth. So this will help you to recognize that being in that positive light enhances everyone. Everyone is affected in a good way when we spend time appreciating ourselves. You'll trust yourself. And I know that's one thing that a lot of people have some sort of discomfort with when it comes to becoming more multisensory, stepping into one's intuition. You do have to learn to trust yourself. That's why it's important to write down those intuitive or inspirational moments, because the logical mind will most likely forget what the intuition was. And if you write it down, you're not going to forget it as easily. It's going to come back into your awareness. And then you may consider, well, what if this is true? You're going to start to trust yourself. You may even do a little bit of research or test yourself to see how accurate that information was. You will begin to consistently, and this is the best part, cherish and adore you. That is not egotistical. The ego is all about fear. So as we walk about our day, worried about our resources, our jobs, partnerships, friends, our health, we are dancing with our ego. As you step away from the ego and allow it to become quiet and be utilized only if and when it's necessary, that happens when you love and adore and cherish yourself. So these are some signs that you can notice that are taking shape in your life because you are loving yourself more. And I just wanted to give you this list so that you can check some off and go, oh, I'm doing a great job. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel this way now. Wow. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go to the phone lines and answer people's questions who've called in and left a voicemail. You can go to energyintuitive.com and go to the podcast page, and there's instructions on how to leave a voicemail.
Hi, Marie. It's Marita calling from Norway. I don't know what to ask. I want to ask so much, but my question is, I suppose I could ask you, am I an old soul or am I a young soul? Because I was told I am a young soul, but it doesn't really always feel. Maybe I tapped into some very old energy. My family has some. Yeah, I think there must be some psychics in my family, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, thank you so much. Am I an old soul or a young soul? Thank you, Marie.
You're welcome. And you are an old soul. Younger souls are not interested in spirituality. Younger souls, and there's nothing, young souls are just as fascinating and interesting and lovable and delicious and fabulous and just as cherished as old souls. All soul ages are unique and have their own experiences and their own level of consciousness. They're all precious and deserving. But young souls, here's an example, because a young soul, particularly a really young soul, when it comes to Earth, it probably hasn't been to Earth too many times. and it's not sure what to do or how to operate on this physical reality. So younger souls are attracted to things where organizations tell them how to behave in the world, like more conservative type religion, the military, even polygamy, where there's a lot of rules about how to dress or how to behave, how to approach someone, how, like in the military, how it evolves in terms of you have to have so much amount of time and evolution before you move up into different career paths. And you even have to sign documents saying that you'll dedicate 4 or 8 years or whatnot of your life towards the military. Now, this doesn't mean that everyone in the military or everyone in a more conservative religious environment is a young soul, by the way. There can be old souls in these organizations, but they eventually leave because they're not very happy. It doesn't make sense to them anymore. They probably were super empathetic people and did things to please others, like their parents or their partners. And so they agreed to participate in something that it doesn't allow them to individuate. Older souls like to be their own unique self. So they're not easily attracted to things that have more dogma in it or rules. They like their independence. So I hope that answered your question for you.
Hello, Marie. My name is Elle, and I'm curious about navigating the energy dynamic of my mother's family. My mother is disabled, and I am her primary caregiver. We lost both of her parents in the COVID era, my grandmother first and more recently my grandfather. My grandmother seemed to be holding a lot of personalities in check while she was alive. I've realized over the past 3 years that this was no small effort on her part, and I imagine that she was absolutely exhausted when she left us.
Yeah, I don't know.
I spent time with her in the hours before she passed, and one of the last things she said to me at her bedside was that I should not return there alone because it was not safe for me. She was vague in the proper nouns, but very specific and very adamant about my not returning alone and it not being safe for me. I haven't felt anything from her since she's passed, even though I was with her at bedside, and even though I've felt things from my other grandparents after their passing. My mother's sister-in-law has been enervated by this change in our family. She almost seems to have taken on a predatory stance toward my mom, particularly in her approach to my grandparents' material legacy. She successfully lobbied the reallocation of many things that my grandmother intended for my mom. She has also smeared me, labeling me as an aggressor in the material matters. We dealt with this in the moment by realizing first that my grandmother didn't get to take her material belongings with her, and none of us would either. And although precious, it really was just stuff.
Right.
We also recognized that when we saw my grandmother again, we weren't going to be giving account for misappropriating her belongings after she had made her wishes known, that we had tried to be faithful to what she had asked. However, in one of your podcasts this spring, you made the comment that once people have crossed over, they could not care less about who got the diamonds or who was at their bedside because their perspective was so much bigger.
Yeah.
And I can go with you there. But with that new perspective, I'm wondering how to show up for my mom and help her navigate these difficult relationships through the remainder of her life. We are still tied to her extended family through my grandparents' provisions for her. Her childhood wasn't overly nurturing, and she had a complicated relationship with her dad. And the family shift in my grandmother's absence has perpetuated her feelings of less than and almost an illegitimacy. But I'm also wondering what I am dealing with concerning our extended family. I've noticed that I have a very strong stress response in my spirit at the mere mention of their names. And I can rationalize all I want to, but it is very difficult to get myself back in peaceful balance. And the stress response is even bigger when I have to deal with them directly.
Okay. All right. So, couple of things. Number one, your mother has been in perpetual victimization. And so that's not healthy at all to be in that perpetual state of victimization, even if your life echoes some things that we as humans would say we're victimizing. We don't want her to stay in that place. Your grandmother, thank goodness they took care of the resources for your mother to take care so that she could be cared for. So that's amazing. But she said, I should have put those other things in the will too, because that was her prerogative. She could have put those things that she truly wanted to go to your mother into the will. You have a lot of interesting, as you said, family dynamics, a lot of weird, emotional, unhealthy connections. You have old souls and young souls, which isn't that uncommon, but they're so close together. They're, in terms of the interaction between the young and old souls, is frequent or often or is dependent upon each other. And that makes things challenging because you're going to have a very different perspective than the younger soul counterparts. I just don't think you should worry about any of these personalities. I don't think you should engage with the sister-in-law, I believe it is. I wouldn't. You're getting the resources that are needed to care for your mother. And luckily that was stated and provided for her in her will or a trust or something that was created. I just wouldn't engage. Be quiet when they're around. Don't engage, because you can get too in your head, over analyzing process, and then go down these rabbit holes of psychology, which I just wouldn't do. I would not engage. I would say, oh, thanks. Thank you for having a nice day. I would just keep it very superficial. When we have people in our life that are younger and old souls, and they are so opposite in their perception of life, it's better to keep the relationship superficial, regardless of how you're connected, biologically, or even about the money that's involved. I would just keep it extremely superficial, and I wouldn't listen to what your grandmother said. I think you're very safe. I mean, she was on narcotics. And when people are leaving their bodies, they may be having a different experience than what their mouth is saying. They're so detached sometimes as they're leaving their bodies that their mouth is saying something different than what they're actually experiencing. I think you're safe. I don't think anything's wrong. I really don't. Just don't engage in and you create the psychological drama too. So catch yourself, recalibrate, talk about the weather, and keep it very simple. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Meisha. I have been following you for quite a while, and I was actually on your Greece trip as well. I have a quick question because you've always helped me so much in the past, and I'm feeling a little anxious at the moment, and I thought you might be able to give me some clarity. So I've been feeling like I'm coming to an end in a lot of different things, and so I'm finally wrapping up my PhD and some other things, but I'm concerned. My question is around my career and the direction. So I even been feeling like there was going to be a change coming up in that, and even on my astrological, I'm talking to an astrologer. She was very clear that yes, I am definitely coming into a change. And in fact, though, everything was indicating that right about by now, I would know what that change was, and I don't. And my question is that the astrologer then told me, though, that I'm not going to be the one to force it or to push for it. It's just going to happen. So it'll just be the universe letting me know what to do next. And that hasn't happened. And I'm getting a little anxious, worried that I'm missing out on all this astrological energy and not taking advantage of, maybe I do need to be taking more action. And maybe I need to be leaving my job and pursuing some other things that, I don't know. So anyway, I was just wondering, I guess the big question, should I leave my job? Should I just kind of keep going forward, doing what I'm doing, and wait for something to show up? Any guidance that you could give me would be really helpful. Thank you, Marie.
Hi, Meisha. And I do remember you and your friends a couple Greece retreats ago. And we're going to Ireland in the summer of next year, which is very exciting. So you do need to take some action, but not in forcing or looking for the next thing. But you do need to start following things spontaneously. So when the universe is going to guide you to something new, you need to be in a new vibration. You need to be in a new frequency. That means you need to start doing fun things, be playful, be silly. You kind of got to follow the path or the yellow brick road or the breadcrumbs. You have to be playful. You can't just be, okay, well, I'm just going to keep doing whatever I'm doing, I'm just going to wait till the universe comes and hits me alongside my head, and then I'm going to do whatever that is. You need to be in a state of grace and high frequency and high vibration so you can, be in the right place, whether it's an environment or in yourself where you can recognize what's next, but you're not in a high frequency, you're not in a high vibration. And you know what I mean when I say that. So you need to let go, relax, go play, go have some fun, go have some adventures. And that's when things come, is when we're not, staring and looking in the room or waiting for something to happen, is when we go play. That's when all the good stuff shows up. So that's what I would recommend. Okay, thank you.
Hi Marie, this is Kerry from Australia. Love your show. My question today is, I'm currently a school counsellor, and whilst I love counselling and helping kids and teenagers, I feel like there could be something more
Yes.
that I'm kind of called to do. But I'm just wondering if you could tap in today just to see if you could think of any strengths that you can feel of mine. Because I guess I'm just after future direction of what sort of job or career for you to tap into those as well. Thanks again. Okay, bye.
Thanks, Kerry. As you were asking your question, I knew right away. That tells me that you've been raising your vibration, your frequency, the energy. I'm using different words. They do slightly mean different things, but they also mean the very same thing. I'm just using this language to point out that if people raise their vibration, especially if they're asking questions about career, I'm able to see a direction. I would love it if you studied astrology. I think you would also enjoy it. Now, whenever I give directions to an individual to go study a particular modality or even something that's, in a university platform, I'm also, and maybe I don't vocalize it well enough, recommending that you follow the thing that brings you joy. So if you're going to take some classes to learn astrology, take the class that makes you happy, that's glowing, that brings you joy. That's what I would recommend that you do. But I think astrology would be super fun for you. I think you would love it. Okay. Alrighty.
Hi, Marie. My name's Jennifer, and I'm calling from Colorado. And I'm calling about my 8-year-old daughter. She was diagnosed last summer in June of 2023 with a high-grade ophthalmic glioma. But before her diagnosis, her cancer diagnosis, she was a happy, healthy little girl who loved to dance, do gymnastics, and girls wrestling. She was very athletic, super healthy, so this all came to a surprise to me and my whole family. Her diagnosis has been very hard on our whole family. We have 2 other girls in the household, and I feel like me and my husband are trying to keep our heads above water. Our daughter has completed her 6-week radiation treatment, and we are on our 5th round of chemo. We just got some new results from our MRI that showed that the cancer is starting to spread. Our oncologist kind of gave us our last resort was to start our targeted chemo medicine. So we're just really hoping that this just works and buys us some time. We really feel that our whole world has come completely crashing down upon us within just the last 6 months. And we could really use any help on guidance on what we can do with our 8-year-old little daughter that was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Like any other cancer family, we're just trying to survive, try to find the right care for her, the right people, trying to advocate for her, just give her a fighting chance. And I was hoping that maybe you could tune into her and see if there's anything us parents can do to help our baby girl. Thank you.
I'm so sorry, Jennifer, for everything that you and your family are going through, and for your beautiful baby girl, all the things that she's going through. Brain tumors are they're not recognizable until all of a sudden they are, when they grow to a certain size, and then they start to affect us, like they affect our vision, or someone may have a seizure. Something happens, and then that's when they're diagnosed. So it's a very common scenario what you and your family and your daughter experienced prior to her diagnosis. And so it's always a shock. It's an incredible shock. And as you've learned, brain cancers are hard to treat because of the blood-brain barriers. So not all medications go across this barrier and then go into the brain. And then depending on the location of tumors, they sometimes can't remove them, or they can't remove them completely. And then high-grade gliomas tend to proliferate and grow quickly. But I do have some ideas for you. And I just want to say again, I'm very sorry. I can't even imagine what all of you are going through. That's why I could not work in peds, because I would have just cried all day long. So I just want you to know my heart and my energy and my love is with you and your family at this time. And of course, your baby girl. So there are research going on in California with cannabis, with marijuana. The University of California, Riverside actually is doing research on cannabis and the effects it has with cancer. And there's a wonderful documentary. It's called The Weed People. It was put out by Netflix in 2018. It's phenomenal. I believe it covers or follows 5 families. All but one are of children of all different types of cancers. There's a brain cancer as well. And it shows how remarkable cannabis was in affecting tumors. And one child did pass away in the documentary, but everybody else, even though they were not, according to modern medicine, going to survive, they did, which is fascinating. It's really interesting. So the University of California, Riverside is doing research on cannabis, and also the University of California Health is doing clinical trials, actually. So if you watch the documentary, you can get a lot of information, because there's organizations to help people get the right type of THC, because it's a particular type of the marijuana inside. They grow it specially. They do it kind of individually for people. I don't understand the process completely, but universities are actually doing research and clinical trials. So I would at least watch the documentary, take notes. If it's hard for you to watch, have a friend watch it for you. If you don't want to watch kids dealing with cancer and their families because you're going through it, make one of your friends watch it for you and take notes, because I'm sure there are a lot of people in your community want to help you, and not everybody knows what they can do to help, So I would start there and take notes of the different organizations and contact them, or contact the University of California, Riverside, or the University of California Health and Research, because they're actually doing clinical trials. Your daughter could be perfect for a clinical trial with cannabis. So that's what my thoughts are about this. That's something that could, give her more time or heal her. What they know from research so far is that cannabis, and again, they do something different to the THC. So it's not like smoking pot. It's different. It's very, very different. It works better on tumors than blood cancers, which I think is fascinating. So I hope that's helpful. I truly do. And if you need any other assistance, just email us at energyintuitive.com, and we'll do our best to help you out. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Andrea. I'm in New York City. Thank you for your brilliant podcast and your work. My question is, why is my body growing nodules and cystadenofibromas and cancers and things like this? Here's the more detailed version. Why do I currently have a fairly sizable benign nodule on my thyroid? Why did I have breast cancer a decade ago? Why did I have a benign cystadenofibroma on my ovary over a decade ago? In other words, why for the past decade plus has my body been growing extra things? And is there anything I can do to help my body not grow these extra things?
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Yes, Andrea, there are things you can do. I'm so sorry that you've had these experiences. I'm glad most of them have been benign. Thank you. But as you know, even benign things sometimes have to be treated if they get too big, right? So anything to do with the thyroid, where that's Hashimoto's disease or, thyroid cancer, benign growths, goiters, it's about not speaking your truth. And I know you speak eloquently. I know that you're very conscious and aware, but truth is about having an awareness to that other part of your body that's been talking to you, which was near the second chakra, the emotional response system. So there's this place where you're not feeling your authentic emotions. You're not, let's say, circling in joy for yourself. And you can, if you were live with me, you could disagree with whatever I said if you, thought that wasn't true. And then you're not expressing your truth. And truth is different for everyone. You can only imagine what my truth is sometimes, right? Right. So you have incredible truths inside of you. And the only reason why these things are happening is because your body's talking to you. So I would hang out with your thyroid. I would hang out with your ovaries. I would hang out with breast tissue or whatever is going on here in this beautiful area in your chest. I would hang out in those areas and get curious and rest with them and meditate with them. They're calling you. Breast tissue is about receptivity, receiving, taking energy in, not taking care of others, but just being receptive. So learning to speak your truth and feel your emotions and keep taking energy in. That's literally your body talking to you. And apparently you're not listening as well as you could. And that's why it goes, well, she got part of it. Okay, she really wants to learn this in this lifetime. That's what she said before she incarnated. She said, do whatever it takes for me to learn to speak my truth. And so the universe is doing exactly what you asked it to do. And we never know what that's going to look like before we incarnate. We don't know how that awareness is going to be presented to us as an opportunity. For you, it's your body, because you pay attention when it's your body. Some people don't pay attention when it's their body, or some people constantly are paying attention to their body. So it's not going to happen with their body. I hope that's helpful. I truly do. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Elle, and I'm calling from California. Thank you so much for your amazing podcast. I am so grateful to have the opportunity to be able to call in and ask you my question. So there's something that I have wondered about for a very long time. When I was a child, I would experience these altered states where I would... time felt like it would slow down a lot.
Yeah.
And my limbs would become very heavy, but also light and floaty at the same time, if that makes sense. And this would happen at night, usually right before bed. And when I was a child, it was very fear-inducing. It was very, very scary. But it continued from around the age 5 or 6 to my teens, but with less frequency as I got older. And then the last time was probably around when I was 19. And I, since then, have just thought, well, it was probably some sort of developmental thing with my brain. I had a growing brain, maybe, growing brains go through that at times. As far as I know, I didn't have any other health issues or anything psychologically going on. So I've always kind of been curious about what that was about. And then a couple of years ago, I did ketamine therapy, and
Felt the same.
It was almost the exact same feeling that I felt with the ketamine therapy. And that was the first time that I realized, oh my God, I think I was slipping into altered states of consciousness. But I have no idea why, or if it was biological, if it was perhaps spiritual. And so I've looked for answers on the internet. I have tried to find out any information I can about it over the years, and I have just come up with nothing. So I thought maybe you could give me some insight on that, and maybe feel into that and see if you get anything. I would love to know what you think, and I don't know, maybe my guides can pass along what was going on if they know. I'm sure they do. And then also just like kind of randomly, I was also kind of wondering if I have any animal spirits around me. I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering that too. So anyways,
Interesting.
thank you so much, Marie. You're an absolute gem. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Ella, this is not complicated, and you could not find the answer. I mean, possibly if you asked the question in the Google search correctly, you could have gotten an answer, but you were having outer body experiences. This is not abnormal, especially highly intuitive people or people who are going through a growth of consciousness, spiritually speaking, will have out of body experiences. And that's why when you were taking the ketamine, it felt like the very same thing, because in a way, you were having a shift in consciousness, right? Because you weren't fully aware. So out of body experiences are actually very cool. And I think the reason why you were scared of them is because you weren't really letting them fully happen. When people have out of body experiences, the majority of them, the experience goes to a place where you feel like you're flying outside of your body. So you're laying on the bed, you're almost asleep. It typically happens, as we're falling asleep at night. And our consciousness is aware of our energy leaving our physical form and flying around, even moving up into the heavens. People will even see the streets that they live on or the city that they live in while they're flying around. So a part of you needs to let go further. I wouldn't do any more ketamine unless you actually need to for medical reasons. I think it can be kind of a dangerous drug, I think, personally, unless you absolutely need it, then that's different. But maybe you could read about out-of-body experiences, but more importantly, because we know you have this intuitive spiritual aspect of yourself that wants more awareness, instead of trying to do research through Google, how about you learn some automatic writing, you learn to listen and speak to your body. Instead of looking for answers outside of you, look for answers inside of you. Look for the magic within. That's really what your body is asking you to, is to really come and be present so that you can fly around the room and see how cool it is to have an outer body experience. I had many when I was pregnant with my first child. And I really think my children helped me to unlock my intuitive perception, because I felt very intuitive as a parent. And I just knew things and felt things and understood things at a deeper level prior to becoming a parent. So I would, lay down on the couch in the evening after work while I was pregnant and fly all over jungles and forests and woods while I was asleep, but not really asleep. I was fully aware I was laying on a couch. My body felt heavy, like it couldn't move, but my mind felt incredibly free. And it was a joyful experience. So out of body, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is John from Honolulu. You do amazing work, and it's very much appreciated. I recently released some lifelong core childhood trauma beliefs and imprints.
Great.
And now my lower body chakras are somewhat confused of how to align themselves with the joy and freedom of the divine, rather than repeating the previous patterns that were controlled by this chakra in my mental body, which dictated their behavior. I've set an intention to develop new patterns more aligned with the joy and freedom of the divine. If you could scan me and offer any additional pointers or insights, it would be very much appreciated. Again, thank you.
You're welcome, John. And I'm so happy that you did some inner child work. It's powerful. Oh my gosh, it's powerful. You have kind of a mixture of your chakras, like your root is the first one taking in tons of energy. You have a small leak in the second and the third. You have a large leak in the fourth chakra, but your sixth and your seventh are taking energy in. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. But overall, what I feel is that now that you've done this healing, you have to continually communicate to your brain to not react like it has in the past, to not go back to those stories, because it's almost like your body's on automatic pilot because you're still allowing your mind to kind of run the show. You may think it's your chakras, but it's really your brain is still kind of moving into ego, and your job is to communicate to your brain, that's okay, we're fine, never mind, we're fine, everything's fine, so that we don't get caught up in all the analyzing and processing that goes into the mind. So I think that's all you have to do, really. And then these leaks will become less and less. That fourth chakra leak, that's the only one that I'm like, I don't like to see leaks in the fourth, especially large ones. I would recommend working on receptivity, allowing yourself to be loved and cherished, taking in light and water visually or from a sensory perception or an auditory perception into your body, like 5 minutes first thing in the morning and at night before you go to bed, just to train yourself to be receptive, that you're worthy, you're deserving. You get to have all the energy you could possibly put into your body. That's what I would recommend. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Cheryl. I'm calling from Massachusetts. I've had sessions with you before. I'm calling because in the last 7 months, I've seen 5 moonbows. They're a moon with a rainbow circular around the entire one. I've never seen one in my whole life up until now, and I don't really know that many people that have seen them. But in the last 7 months, I've seen 5. So I just want to see what your thoughts are about that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
You're welcome, Cheryl. And how exciting to see these moonbeams. It sounds beautiful. When people begin to have multisensory experiences, which could be what you're experiencing, that's multisensory, meaning that not everybody else sees it. That's what multisensory means, is that the human is sensing beyond what other people are sensing, moving into a wider net of experiences that are actually more authentic, more real, more interesting, more effective, more accurate. That's what it means. And that's my greatest joy, really, is to help humanity to move into the vibration of being able to access their multisensory ability, because everyone has it, but a lot of people don't allow themselves to experience it. Yet when the experience starts to happen, like in your case, I'm sure you've done lots of things that you don't even recall that have set you into this place, or you could be in a moment in your life where you just feel really safe and really nurtured, and things are kind of zipped up in your life that you are unconsciously giving yourself permission to step into more of that multisensory experience. So when those things start to happen to anyone, like in your case, these moonbeams, rainbows around the moon, that's an indicator, okay, your intuition has fired up. Please start paying attention to things throughout the day that may not look like moonbeams, but are somehow gaining your attention. Please. In other words, it sounds like you're visual, and then that is helpful, I think, but that is my strongest multisensory tool, is my visualization. But to be auditory is amazing, to hear things, to feel things, but the feeling one gets confused for most people because a lot of people don't feel their real emotions, and so they get confused between intuition and their real emotions. So I want you to start, when you're looking out at the world, no matter what you're doing, I want you to be open to any sort of change. Let's say you're walking outside and all of a sudden the leaves on trees start to look more silver, or one particular tree does. I want you to go stand in front of that tree. I want you to start to acknowledge every single time you are having a multisensory experience, because we want to strengthen that muscle. We want it to get super strong so that you can get even more information. Like trees talk to people also all day long, just like our bodies. They're very smart, intelligent creatures. All of nature is intelligent. All animals are, I think, more intelligent than most humans. Slugs, spiders, worms, elephants. Oh, and that was your question, I believe. Yeah, you have an elephant around you, which means you have a great memory. And I think elephants and whales hold onto information, from Earth, like they're like libraries for the Earth. Their huge bodies can hold onto lots of information. So that means you have a lot of information inside of you, and these multisensory experiences that you're beginning to have, that you're now you're not doubting. I'm sure you've had them before, but maybe they weren't as consistent or as obvious to you. So you kind of just push them off to the side. But I want you to pay attention to them. And every time you do pay attention to them, your muscle's going to get stronger. And that means you're going to get more information and more information and more information and start to get some direction that is intuitive. We have logical direction, or I should say very confusing direction, because most people don't use their minds appropriately. And that's okay, because if we step into our intuitive direction, which is going to be a lot more accurate than the logical mind, that's when our life becomes fulfilling. So good job. I'm very happy for you. And thank you everyone for listening to this particular podcast. Please, if you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe below. And I will see you soon. Happy solar eclipse. Yes. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.